Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well on this marvellous, marvellous midweek hump. See? Third time lucky. Third time's a charm. Do you know what else is a charm? You are. You're a charm for being here. You look amazing, by the way. Thank you for turning up to video 3 of 3. That's right, 3 video. The other one was only like a little update. Some people had reached out over the Idaho 4 and they'd been like saying, what are we going to see in court? When is it? Some people didn't even know when the court case was. And in hindsight, I don't even know if I gave the date. I think I did just refer to the fact that it was in a couple of days. So hopefully they see it today when it is a couple of days and they're not late and they miss it. Anyway, so we crack on and talk about the other Idaho 4 case, because that's the other case that seems to be slowly moving in a similar direction to the other Idaho 4 case. And what do I mean by that? And who am I talking about? For those of you who don't know, that's Majorcan Alan Kayla. This was the guy who walked into his neighbour's house and executed the entire family. And you'd think when I say it like that this is clear cut. He walked in there, he did it. It's not quite as simple as that. For those of you who have followed this case from the start, you've listened to me talk about it, you'll know exactly what I mean. Some of you won't know what I'm talking about at all. And why this is a little bit more complex is because basically why he did it is because this couple, young children, live in this kind of split level property where they live in one floor, other family lives in the other floor. I think the young family lived in the bottom, the others upstairs, can't remember. And basically, one of the kids from the neighbours, who's sort of a teen, I think he was like 18, 19, he's doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, inappropriate stuff to Majorcan's daughters. And Majorcan goes to law enforcement. He does the right thing and he complains, make a complaint, file a complaint saying, look, this is what's happening. Police write it down, or they don't. And he goes on his merry way. Happens again. So he goes back to the police and they don't do anything. Happens again. Majorcan loses his shit, walks into this house and obliterates it. Now, some people will say that that was potentially a little bit extreme, but like I've said in the past, what lengths would you go to protect your children? And this, I think, is why this case isn't quite so clear-cut. Because what happened shortly after the shooting was that law enforcement had to backpedal a bit. They needed to make it look like when he'd filed his report, they were in there like swimwear, and they were doing it. They were dealing with it. They weren't. Definitely not. Definitely not. And I think that people have cottoned on to that. People have cottoned on to the fact that this was preventable. This was a preventable crime, and had law enforcement had just done their job, the actual thing that they are paid to do, and serve the public like they are paid to do, then this family wouldn't have been, and it doesn't take any blame away from Majorcan. Let's get that right. At the end of the day, he shouldn't have done it. It was a little bit extreme. But again, what would you do to protect your children? If you're in a situation where in your mind you're thinking, right, I've either got to do something because I've gone to help and they won't help me. The people who should be helping me, they don't seem to care. And if I don't do something, my children are going to be hurt. That's going to happen. Even what had already happened came with some emotional and mental repercussions. That's the likely thing that was already happening. So this father wanted to protect his family, and he did it well. But what's happening in that case is they have just waived his right to a speedy trial. So defendant acknowledges that defendant has a right to have this case brought to trial within 6 months of defendant's arraignment in district court on an indictment, or within 6 months of the filing of the information. Further, the defendant acknowledges consulting with defendant's attorney regarding the right to a speedy trial pursuant to the 6th Amendment of the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 13 of the the Idaho Constitution, the Idaho Section 19 through 3501, based upon careful consideration and consultation with the attorney. The defendant waives defendant's rights to a speedy trial. The defendant fully understands the advantages and disadvantages of waiving the right to a speedy trial. Maybe Brian Koberger should have been told the advantages of a speedy trial. Nobody ever really mentions the advantages of the speedy trial, and believes that it would be in defendant's best interest to give up this right. The defendant further understands that once the right to a speedy trial is waived, the court may set this case for a trial more than 6 months from the time in which defendant was arraigned in district court on an indictment or from filing of the information. And there you go. So that was on the 8th of November 2023. So that's the Majorge and Alan Kayla case. They have indeed waived his right to a speedy trial. And what I think they're now doing is they are getting all the ducks in a row. They are going to go in very hard on whether this was preventable. And watch this space. This is going to be an interesting one. I don't think that this is going to be as clear-cut as people may think. Let me know what you think down below. What do you think should happen to this? The death penalty has been taken off the table here, despite there being a situation where someone has entered into a property and massacred 4 people, very much like in the Idaho 4.1, and this is 4.2, say, where that's kind of the same thing, kind of. Let me know down below. What do you think the outcome of this is going to be? And I'll catch you all in the next one.